Welcome to this free immigration help channel. Today is April 11, 2023, and we are getting into the volume 59 of me answering your immigration related questions. As you can see, I have all your comments pulled up in front of me. Before I begin, I'm going to mention, as I always mention in every video, I'm not an immigration attorney. This is not a legal advice. All the information that I provide in my videos on this channel are directly from official government sources like USCIS and of course the Department of State with their visa bulletin. So without further ado, let's start with the very first question from Charity Sebi. Hi sir, you are doing a good job. Keep it up. Please, any update on I-797 because my priority date is current 2019. My case was sent to NVC 16 June 2022. Great, and we are waiting for our case number to pay the fees. Alright, that's pretty good. So you were already approved with USCIS. I-797, basically it's just a notice of action, and the last notice of action that you should have received from USCIS is the approval. So congratulations, that's great. The next stage is NVC. So your case was already sent to the NVC. I am thinking if you know, because judging by your comment, it sounds like you're in a category that has that either has the availability of the immigrant visas is current, or there is no cap at all on those immigrant visas. And the reason why I think that is because, well, you do say that it's current, but also because it was pretty quick. Because you know, if you filed it in 2019, and I mean we are in 2023, yes, and I know it's quick compared to pretty much everything else, unfortunately, whenever it comes to family reunification. But with that being said, I'm thinking that you should have probably had already the access to the portal. So I would definitely recommend submitting the public inquiry form with the National Visa Center. And I'm gonna actually show you how to do that. I'll use this as a opportunity to demonstrate some navigation on the Department of State website, which is specifically travel.state.gov, and that's basically their website specifically for you know, people that are dealing with immigration, whether it's family related or employment based. So right here I have the visa bulletin. I'm gonna open this contact us link in a separate tab so that we still have this open, and then we're gonna click on US visas contacts. That's what we need. And then scroll down and you will see public inquiry form here in the email. We're going to click on that, and there will be another page where you'll have to click public inquiry form right here. And there you go. This is the public inquiry form. You'll have to put your NVC case number or USCIS receipt number. So if you still don't have your NVC case number, just put the USCIS receipt number. NVC, they will be able to pull up your case by the USCIS receipt number, and then obviously all of the information in the inquiry. Just say that, hey, you know, I got the notification from USCIS that my case was approved and that it was transferred to the NVC. However, I still have not received the welcome letter from you guys, and I'm wondering when I'm going to receive it. Just wanted to kind of ask for an update. Being professional, being polite, but at the same time kind of requesting, you know, asking for the information because you don't want to be kept in the dark. But congratulations on the approval. That's, you know, always great. Moving on to the next stage. I hope that they don't take too long to answer. A lot of times they do take between 1 month and sometimes a little bit longer than that, like a month and a half, to respond to those public inquiries, and a lot of times it's very boilerplate response. So don't be surprised if you get something like, oh yeah, we will get to you, basically. Roughly. Don't be too upset about that, but it's still sometimes good to remind them that you not just gonna sit around and just wait for them to get to, you know, whenever they get to, but you're actually on top of your case and you're paying attention and you are waiting. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Sunil. Hello sir, good pieces of information have been proved here. I'm glad, Sunil, I'm glad this was helpful. Sir, I'm still very confused about Biden's new asylum policy, which is likely going to be coming into effect from 11th May. Will it be hard for asylum seekers? Will third country asylum appeal be compulsory? Without crossing border, how can asylum seekers apply for? Please help. Okay, Sunil. Great question. Thank you for asking. So whenever it comes to the policies that are being, I mean, it's a mess. Okay, let's just start by saying that it's a complete mess, especially whenever it comes to asylum. Here's one of the reasons why it's a mess, because if you look at in general asylum seekers, right? Obviously, you need to be in the United States of America by definition of asylum in order to apply for asylum. You have to be on the territory of the United States. That's one of the requirements for the asylum. If you're outside of the United States and you are seeking protection of the United States, that's a whole different area, refugee, right? To apply for asylum, you have to be in the United States. But now, if you look at the asylum seekers in general, you will see two big kind of not categories but two groups of asylum seekers that can be broken down into two groups. Is one group that comes into the United States through the normal ports of entry, most of the times by flight, and then they are here obviously with some kind of status, whether it's some kind of non-immigrant status or possibly some kind of immigrant status. It really doesn't matter. And then they apply for asylum because they don't want to leave the United States because they are afraid of the persecution to go back to the country where they came from. And then there's a group of asylum seekers whenever it comes to the crossing the border, right? And that group of asylum seekers, that's the group that have been very, very controversial. There's a lot of confusion. If you look at the news, if you read the articles online, unfortunately, you will see that a lot of people do not understand how the process works, what asylum is, and it's a little bit. It's not a little bit. It's really hard to address issues that are associated with certain things because it's sort of a loophole if you think about it. Just because someone has an opportunity to walk over the border into the United States and say, okay, I'm claiming asylum. It's compared to someone who struggled for years to somehow possibly obtain a flight, an entry into the United States from, let's say across the globe, somewhere from Europe, Middle East, Asia, whatever, it doesn't really matter. And then they come here on the legal status, legally entering the United States and then applying for asylum. You see there's a big gap, there's a big difference compared to just, we have this geographic border that, some of that it has whatever, the wall, the fence, whatever you want to call it. Some of that it doesn't. So you just step over, you make one step, and then you say, okay, I'm claiming asylum, I can go back, all right? But your entry into the United States, it was illegal because you can't technically just go and cross the border. You have to have some kind of, and again, I'm not saying it as you can't, because this is all world of the flesh, right? We have created these borders, we have created these rules, we have created this system, and now we are getting the rotten fruit of this system that is in the world of the flesh. All right, got into the spiritual conversation, but you get the point. That's why there is so much controversy. That's why there is so much misunderstanding. Now, with the Biden administration, what they're doing now with asylum, it was, it's different from what Trump was doing, but in a way, it's all, everybody, new guy comes in and they try to do something because there is an issue, obviously, and there will always be that issue because there is that controversy of just taking a step over this line that was drawn on the map and then saying, oh, that's it, I'm in the United States, I claim asylum, all right? So a new guy comes in and they always try to address it in their own way, and most of the times it just makes it worse because it raises outrage here from the people that don't understand, it raises outrage there from people that do understand. It's ridiculous. But now with that, all of that being said, to address your question, will it be hard for asylum seekers? Unfortunately, yes. And it did become much, much harder in the past. I would say, well, it was significantly getting harder and harder and harder in the past, 10 years. It became significantly harder. We see a lot of unfair treatment of those asylum seekers that, as I described, who entered the country legally, who took their time in order to obtain that legal entry into the country and then apply for asylum. Most of those asylum seekers are still waiting from 5 years ago, some of them from 10 years ago, waiting for their interview, compared to the asylum seekers who cross the border. It's very unfair, but that's the case. And that's the case because of the policies that come from the people that do not realize what they're doing, do not understand the process completely. Now, whenever it comes to the third country asylum appeal, so far it seems like it is only Trump. He tried to do the same thing with the third country, and it seems like Biden is trying to do the same thing. It does kind of make sense, and it seems to only apply to people that are crossing the border crossing the border illegally through the countries, coming down from obviously, North America, South America side, from the south, right? Coming down through Mexico. And the idea behind it is that if you are traveling, right, and I'm not very good with geography, but if you are traveling through several countries, and then obviously including traveling through Mexico and then entering the United States, all of these countries that you're passing, why, if you have already escaped the country that is persecuting you, right? Because that's what asylum is all about. Remember, asylum is not about economical advantage. Just because the country that you are in is economically disadvantaged, which is literally pretty much every country around the world, except some countries that are doing pretty decent in Europe, United States of America, obviously bigger countries, first world countries, right? First world countries. But if you are leaving that country just because of the economic advantage, that's not enough ground to claim asylum. Just because that country is not doing well. You have to be persecuted because you belong to a specific group. So most of the times these migrants, they don't meet the requirement, the qualification for that asylum status. But even if they do, if you already left that country that is where you are being persecuted, and you're traveling through all of these countries to get to the United States, why is that you cannot claim asylum, claim some kind of protection on the way in the countries that you're passing through? Why it has to be specifically the United States? If you think about it logically, if your life is in danger and you just left the danger, why is it that you have to go to one specific location in order to be now protected, right? What about all of these countries? It would kind of apply to asylum seekers that are in other countries, that you can't just cross the border, but you actually have to take a flight or ship or whatever to get here. But over there, obviously, you have the flight. So they look at the opportunity. And they do ask. They do ask during the interviews, at least they did back in, I would say, 10, 15 years ago, there was a question like, okay, so if you're claiming asylum, let's say from, I don't know, roughly from Russia, all right? Let's say from Russia. Did you try the countries that are surrounding Russia? Why couldn't you go to, let's say, Poland or there and, seek protection over there? And you have to have a good reason why you couldn't. So, the last question that you had, without crossing the border, how can asylum seeker apply for? Same way, I-589, but Sunil, keep in mind, with all of that information that I gave you, with everything that's going on around asylum, because of it is such a controversial topic, things change quick, and it seems to be getting only worse. So yes, it will be getting harder and harder and harder, and it will become a more and more controversial topic that people just can't Unfortunately, most people, that's the problem with people these days, right? Instead of, if you don't know something, instead of seeking the information and understanding it and realizing and developing that understanding too, being understanding of the people that are crossing the border, being understanding of the people that work on the border, being understanding of the people that, work for these government agencies, US, right? Like, there is a response that they do to a certain situation. They are under certain circumstances, everybody. But instead, people develop this intolerance, and then they get mad, and then they get angry and political, and you don't solve problems like this. So yes, Sunil, it will get worse. It will get harder, and unfortunately, that just seems to be the case with really anything that that has to do with our human rights systems that we create. Whether it's the government, whether it's the immigration system, whether it's politics, economy, whatever you want to look at. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Olusesan Fafiolu. I'm very sorry I'm mispronouncing the name. I'm a US citizen. I filed for my 2 sons who were under 21 when I filed. They have been scheduled for interviews in Lagos. Me and my wife, their mother, made $70,000. We have a granddaughter as dependent, and we just gave affidavit of support to a couple. My question is, will the amount be enough to support the 2 sons, or I should add a joint sponsor? I share your videos on our African WhatsApp group. Thanks for your efforts. God strengthens you the more. Olusesan, probably mispronouncing the name. I'm very sorry, but I appreciate it. Thank you. It means a lot. So let's take a look. We're gonna go. I'm gonna type in, because it's the numbers, and I'm absolutely horrible whenever it comes to the numbers. But we are looking for USCIS minimum sponsor income, because it is USCIS that has the HHS poverty guidelines for affidavit of support. So we're gonna click on that. All right, and there's Alaska and Hawaii that have a little bit of a different numbers, but for most of the states, 48 states, this is it right here. This is the numbers that you should be looking at. So far, your income seems pretty good, right? But let's see. Let's find out. Okay, so this is the column or row. Yes, column. This is the column that you will be looking at, that last one. So it's 125% of HHS poverty guidelines. So you have, let's see, obviously you yourself, your wife, your granddaughter as dependent. So far, if I'm understanding correctly, when you file your taxes, it's 3 people in the household on taxes, right? You, your wife, and your granddaughter. Now you said that you gave affidavit to a couple. I don't think it's going to affect the affidavit of support that you are giving to your sons. So let's do it without that couple then, and then I will put the couple in, and we will try to calculate just to be on the safe side. Because it really is at the discretion of, it depends on when you gave that affidavit, how long ago, whether the couple already immigrated or whether they didn't. There's a lot of factors that we need to keep in mind. So we will do both situations. So let's do it again. So it's you, your wife, your granddaughter. So we got 3 in the household, but you're also sponsoring 2 sons. So what you do is, the way you calculate it, you add the existing household to the beneficiaries that you are adding. So now your total household is 5 people. All right, so 5 people. For 5 people, let's take a look. For 5 people, sponsors household size, 43,925. So you're good. But let's add, just in case, to that 5 people, let's also add that couple. 2 people that you send that affidavit of support to. So now it's 7. 7, household of 7, even though I don't think it's going to be counted like that, but just in case, to be on the safe side, for 7 people, it is 56,775. So still, even with that couple in consideration, you are still good with your income. But here's the thing that I want you to keep in mind, just kind of as a recommendation. Make sure that the $70,000 is the net income on your taxes. So after all of the liabilities, after all the expenses, right? If you own your own business, after everything is already negated from the total income, from the gross income, make sure that that $70,000 you're talking about is your net income. And then if it is, then you're absolutely good. No problems at all. You don't need to worry about any additional joint sponsors. Seems to be like everything is good to go in your case, all USCIS. But if you have any follow-up questions, do not hesitate to ask. And that goes for everyone. If you have any follow-up questions, do not hesitate to ask. Just make sure to post it as a separate comment. Don't respond to my comment within your comment, because then I don't get notifications for some reason for those responses. Okay, let's move on to the next question from Seopati Sirikshun. Very sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name, and I probably am. Good evening, sir. I filed for my son in June 2016. I paid for his visa in June 2021. No appointments as yet. Can I get an update, sir? Okay, so man, it really makes me sad, when your son, you're petitioning for your son, and it's already since 2016, and that's one of the one of the things that you get this controversy with people that are doing things like, crossing the border illegally and then using this loophole to stay here. And and then you see people who did everything and went through the process, and then they're waiting for years and years for their child. It's really sad. But if you're waiting for this long, your son is either already over 21, maybe married. That's why he's in that family preference category that takes a little bit longer. It's either F1 or F3 potentially. So if we look whether at F1 and F3, I'm gonna have my visa bulletin for April 2023 pulled up here. Both F1 and did I say F1 and F3? Married sons and daughters. Yeah, so we have married sons and daughters of US citizens. We have unmarried sons and daughters 21 or older of permanent residence. And we also have F1. So it would be very helpful, Supati, if you can give me exactly the category that your son is in. I would probably be able to give you a little bit better kind of prediction. But since you've been waiting since 2016 now, well, it is possible that you're F2B or F1. Hopefully not F3, because F3 it takes a lot longer than these two. But if it is these two, then you probably have another couple of years to wait regardless. Why? Because this has not been updated for a very long time. Both of these, the only thing that has been updated is the F2A in Graph A as of April 2023. We will find out hopefully in the next couple of months with the rest of the categories. I think they're gonna be updating soon as well, but we will have more information. But if you could respond with a follow-up comment, please, and let me know what the category of your son is, and I will be, at least very rough estimates, but a little bit better estimates, because then I'll know which category he is in. All right, let's move on to the next question from Bardwash Vias. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing. Sir, I have filed F4 sibling brother visa in July 2012 at Vermont. Please guide me what is the status today and how much time wait yet. Okay, Bardwash, unfortunately whenever it comes to F4 categories, first priority category, they take the longest to process for siblings of US citizens. And I can personally relate to that one because I do have my own petition for my brother that I will have to wait forever. But I will show you how to check out the processing times and how to estimate the availability of immigrant visa, and hopefully this will be helpful for everyone who's watching. So first we will start with USCIS. Okay, we're gonna click on tools, we're gonna click on case status online, and then we'll scroll down and click USCIS processing times, and this will give us the whole separate page called check case processing times. All right, so we're going to select I-130 petition for alien relative in the form. And then the category obviously is going to be for US citizen filing for a brother or sister, the very last one. And then you said it is Vermont. So we're going to select Vermont Processing Center here. Get processing time. And we got 114 months for 80% of the cases. Keep in mind all the time, it's 80% of the cases. So it means that 20% of the cases take faster, 20% of the cases take slower. Okay, not necessarily 20% faster, 20% slower. That there is 20%, and some of those cases within those 20%, some of them take faster and some of them take slower. All right, but on average, it is 114 months. So I'm gonna take my calculator. And so it's 9.5 years. So looks like in Vermont Service Center, they wait closer to the availability of that immigrant visa. So they wait about 9.5, about 10 years. All right. Now, once this petition, I-130 petition is approved with USCIS, it is transferred to the NVC. Once it is transferred to the NVC, then we can kind of start looking at the visa bulletin and see how long more we have to wait while dealing with the NVC. And if we look at the forced priority category in dates of filing, because we know the date of filing, you have filed back in July 2012. So right now looks like they're processing cases from December 2007, which is roughly 5 years from when you filed. So it means you have roughly another 5 years to wait. But here's the thing. Here's one thing that I want you to keep in mind. This has not been updated for a very long time, all right? The only thing, like I said, that has been updated recently was F2A. And with this update, we see that there is about 2.5 years additional backlog that occurred during the pandemic. So on top of the 5 years that you already have to wait, judging by what we have right now, you're probably safe if you add another 2.5 years to that. So total like 7.5, 8 years. I know it's a long time, and I'm very sorry. It's not very pleasant information, but it's part of the immigration process that we start, and that's how long it takes. I just can hope and wish that things speed up and things become better, All right, let's move on to the next question from Dark Lord GUMK. I entered the USA through the border in February 2023. I want to present my application for asylum I-589. Do I have to present it to USCIS or EOIR? I have an order of release on recognizance, I think that's what it's called, Form I-220A, and I have a court date in 2024. Okay, Dark Lord. So whenever it comes to the form, the I-220, the release on recognizance, basically, in most cases, what it is they notify you of that court date that is coming, and the court date they schedule is for it's the removal proceedings. So right now you're in the removal proceedings pending that court date. All right. So if you just don't do nothing and you go, in 2024 for that court hearing, most likely what's going to happen is they're gonna, try to complete the removal proceedings and deport you. But to file the I-589, you have to do it on USCIS website. USCIS website is this website right here, uscis.gov. I'm gonna show you how to find that form. We're gonna click on forms. We're gonna click on all forms, and then we're gonna search 589. And there you go, application for asylum and for withholding of removal, which is, in your case, is going to be obviously both. All right, so you are able to file that online. I highly recommend filing that online because it makes it much faster to not process, but for USCIS to receive your application much faster, and you prevent a lot of possible mistakes if you file this form online. And then when the date comes in 2024, basically once you go for that court hearing, the immigration judge, they will ask you, have you started any immigration process? And you can say, yes, I have submitted my application for asylum. Here it is, unless it is processed already by then. If it is, then obviously it will be a different outcome. But if it is still pending, then you can say, yes, I have the pending asylum application. Although now, when you file the asylum as of right now, it is much faster processing compared to the way it was before. So most likely you will have your answer, you will have your interview before the court date. All right, let's move on to the next question from Baska Urush. F4 visa for siblings, Nebraska Center, approved in 2010. We sent an email to NVC, still no response. When we get next letter? Okay. Baska, let me ask you a question. Have you already been documentarily qualified with NVC? Or have you not received any letters from NVC just yet? I need to know a little bit more information. F4 category, it takes the longest, and I already mentioned in this video, 2007. So between what is processed now, roughly, and there's still 3 years, all right? So you're looking at least 3 more years. But again, we also have that artificial backlog, which we know is about 2.5 years, judging by the F2A. So on top of that 3 years, add that 2.5 years, and you're looking at 5 to 6 years of waiting. So with that being said, maybe most likely you're not documentarily qualified yet, and NVC, that's why they're not giving you the full access to the portal, because they're waiting for the availability of the immigrant visa. So you are looking at another 5-6 years. It's very rough estimate because things might change, and really I hope that they speed up. But we don't know. We will have to see. We'll have to find out. Okay, let's address the very last question for today. We're already getting over 30 minutes. From Sagal Abdullahi. Sagal, appreciate additional question. Is there hope for movement in F1 family preference visas? Absolutely. There's always hope. We will see what's going to happen in the next few months. I think the next few months will be really changing, very determining, okay, for everyone. Because we finally saw the movement on F2A in the visa bulletin, and visa bulletin have not been moving for a very long time now. The only movement that we saw was right now in April 2023, and was this F2A category, and just one graph A, not even in graph B, because here it still shows current. So this is not updated. None of this is updated. But at least we see some movement. And that's always good, all right? It's not nice to see this grow and show extra time that we have to wait. It's not pleasant, but at the same time, it's much better than sitting in the dark and thinking, okay, well, March 2007, I've submitted in 2007, so something should be happening. And as we realize, there is additional 2.5 years that we have to wait on top of that. That's discouraging. That's not very nice to find out. So it's always better to have the updated information. So we will see. We will see with the issue of May, June, July. I think in the next 2-3 months, we will see the rest of the categories updates. Like I said, I will keep doing an updated visa bulletin video every time the new visa bulletin comes out, comparing all of the dates, comparing what changed, kind of giving rough estimates, and then looking at the previous visa bulletins and seeing whether there is some movement in the positive or not in a positive, but in the negative aspect, unfortunately. And most of the times it is in the negative, so everyone who's watching, be prepared for not so good news, just like with the F2A. So, and it's really part of the deal. It's part of the deal because that's the system, and the system that we created ourselves. Everything we create is, unfortunately, is very susceptible for corruption, okay? And we can see the system become more and more corrupted, more and more loose and unfair, okay? But we are engaging in the system. We are using the system to obtain status, to obtain this, to obtain that. So it's part of the deal that we are making when we enter this system. We enter the game and we play by the rules of this game. Okay, so on this philosophical note, I'll have to not even philosophical. Philosophy without spirituality is nothing. All right, it's nothing. It has no merit. So more so a spiritual discussion, spiritual note. I want to say thank you everyone for watching. Always appreciate your time. Always appreciate your questions. always hope that my answers are helpful to you. God bless you all, and I'll see you in the next video.